Yeah, how you going? Yeah, it's Monday. Yeah, I know, I've got the TV going in the background. Yeah, I'll turn it down when I get to the music. And we've got Stevie Wright and Evie part 1. But it's Monday, 8th of April 2013. It's 11:13. It's one of those numbers again. Coincidental. Watching Ellen today. Ellen DeGeneres. And she has these things called kids moments or kids pics. Kids pictures. And someone had sent in a picture their son or daughter had drawn. It was meant to be a shark or a whale in the water. But what it ended up looking like was, to the interpretation, was that of a penis or something that was a bit ruder than what was intended by the person who's actually drawn it. It could be a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. Well, he didn't mean it to be looking like a penis, but it ended up looking like a penis. It was, I could draw it. I could draw what it looked like, but if I drew it and you saw it, and you should come to the same conclusion as I do, that it was rather like a there. So if it looked like that, in actual fact, it had a head. It had a head, and it had a thing around it like this, and it had dots. Had dots. So slowly it started looking like a penis. So Mum's looking at it and thinking, well, this is very funny for coming from a 4 or 5-year-old. A drawing looking like a penis. Now, we also have false interpretations of things as well. Because we can look up on the internet an 18-year-old girl. An 18-year-old girl. We're going to look up a 29-year-old girl. And we do a search, and we have all these pictures of girls coming up for 18 and 29-year-old. You start to think, well, it says they're not 17. It says they're not 16. We just assume that the system is running. It's a bit loud, isn't it? Yeah, my wife had it about real loud. I don't know why she has it so loud. I don't know why she has it so loud. She's not deaf. I know she's not deaf. She hears everything I say. But anyway, getting back to it. So if we can misinterpret the thoughts of a 4 or 5-year-old, how do we misinterpret the thoughts of a 15 and 16-year-old? Because there are instances on the system of today's girls and boys, I'll put boys in the factors, that think that because we've got all this new technology, we just strip off our clothes and show it to everyone. Yet then we have the censors come in, and they turn around and say, well, you can't do that. It's only 17. It's only 16. And there's a thing that sits at the bottom of each one of those sites that has a number that says, as far as we know, when we printed this or put this on the system, they were 18 at the time that the picture was taken. Well, how do they know that? How does YouTube know that? I mean, censorship and copyright. They come on telling me that I got an email the other day saying that even though I might be out of copyright and I'm using YouTube for my music, they're not going to take any action on it, because if they do, then they have to take action on their own selves, because I'm only playing it from YouTube to put it on YouTube as part of my show. And the more people who see my show, the more clicks on the box that YouTube gets, and the more money they get back from Microsoft, because they use their Microsoft system. So Microsoft's got to have a system on here for the YouTube to work, or someone's got to have a system on here for YouTube to work, and we pay for that system. So we're going to get back to the subject matter of the 5-year-old who draws a picture looking like a penis. Do we tell him you're not allowed to draw that? Did the teacher say, Charlie, it's a bit rude, it looks a bit rude, I think you might change the way you draw things? Do we tell them at what age do we realise what they'll be in the future? I mean, Charlie drawn a picture of a whale in the water that looks like a penis. Doesn't mean in 20 years' time he's going to have the inkling of seeing a whale, an actual whale in the water, and he thinking, that looks like the penis I drew back in when I was 5. I don't know. We might have to go back and ask Alan, to ask the person who put the drawing in 20 years' time, does he remember doing that whale that looked like a penis? Whew. That's that. So now we've got Stevie Wright. He's English born, but we took him on as being Aussie. And he's singing Evie, part 1. So here's Stevie Wright. No, he's not there. Where is he? Where is he? He's down there. I thought I might have had a picture of it. There he is. Stevie Wright. Now, Stevie Wright was originally born as being Stephen Carlton Stevie Wright. Now, they didn't put the Stevie in the birth certificate. I'm sure they wouldn't have. And he was born on 20th December 1948, same date as my brother-in-law. In Leeds, England, formerly billed as Little Stevie, is an Australian musician and songwriter who has been called Australia's first international pop star. Well, how can he be an Australian pop star who's born in England, in Leeds? It's not until he becomes an Australian that he can be called an Australian. Did he go through immigration? Is there a note saying, well, the immigration allowed him in to become an Australian? When did he become naturalised as an Australian? It's England. It's English. It's a POM. You know what they say about POMs? Where's the best thing to hide the money from a POM? Under a bar of soap, because they never use it. So anyway, during 1964-1966, he was lead singer by Sydney-based rock and roll band The Easy Beats, widely regarded as the greatest Australian pop band of the 1960s. Early hits for The Easy Beats were co-written by Wright and bandmate George Young, including She's So Fine, Wedding Ring, Woman, Don't Make Me Feel Alright. Yeah, Come and See Her, I'll Make It You Happy, track on Easy Fever EP, number 1, 1966, and Sorry. He was lead vocalist on their only international hit, Friday on My Mind, which peaked at number 1 in Australia and in Australia in 1966. It made number 6 in the United Kingdom, the top 10 in France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, and top 20 in the United States in 1967. After the Easy Beats disbanded in 1969, Wright fronted numerous groups including Stevie Wright Band, Stevie Wright and the All-Stars. His solo career included the 1974 hit Evie, parts 1, 2 and 3, which peaked at number 1 on the Kent Music Report singles chart. Wright has had problems with alcohol and drug addictions. In 1976, he was hospitalised and undertook methadone treatment. In the late 1970s, he was treated at Chelmsford Private Hospital by Dr. Harry Bailey, who administered deep sleep therapy with a combination of drug-induced coma and electroshock. His biography has been detailed in Sorry, The Wretched Tale of Little Stevie Wright by Jack Marks, and Hard Road, The Life and Times of Stevie Wright by Glenn Goldsmith. On the 14th of July 2005, the Easy Beats, with Stevie Wright as member, was inducted to the ARIA Hall of Fame alongside Renee Geyer, Hunters and Collectors, Smokey Dawson, Split Enz, and Normie Rowe. Early years. Wright, as I said, Wright was born in Leeds, England, in 1948, and made his migration, and his family migrated to Melbourne, Australia, when he was 9. They moved to Sydney in 1960 and lived in Villawood, near the Villawood Migrant Hostel. He was the lead vocalist for a local band, The Outlaws, and by 1964 had formed Chris Langdon and the Langdales, which initially played the Shadows-styled surf music, but converted to beat music under the influence of the Beatles. Well, that's Stevie Wright. There's more to do on Wikipedia. Now, getting back to Alan. Well, I should be talking about David Letterman. I mean, you look at all those shows and see the people they talk to, and you start to think, well, the questions they're asking, we already know about. There's some things you want to know about an actor or an actress or a singer or a songwriter, or one of those things, they don't ask the question that you want them to ask. Even though you may have actually put it on Twitter to say, Alan, it'd be nice to ask, for instance, Hugh Jackman, did he have sex with Nicole Kidman while they were on set? I don't know. Did they? It was a good match. She did a good job on it, on the movie Australia. Australia. There's many things you can see about Australia and talk about with Australia. There's a whole book on it. There's a book of this all about those things that are Australian. There was a thing about 10 most irritating things Australians do. One of the things they said was picking your nose while you're driving the car, putting tomato sauce on everything. But then again, I'm thinking, well, are there things that other country people do that we don't like, we find strange to do? I mean, there's things that we in Australia think, well, you shouldn't be doing that. We wouldn't do that, but you do it. Why do you do it? Let's take a step further. North Korea are considering creating a war. What is a war? Why is there a need for North Korea to show force to the rest of the world of what they can do? Is there a need for them to go somewhere else? Do the people on the street actually know what goes on? I'm censored. I'm censored by North Korea. This won't come to North Korea. We were in the Korean War. That's why South Korea was then being. Why don't they build a wall? Is there a wall between North and South, like the China Wall? Is there more to this war than we really know? I mean, the weapons they say that they're building, it's like when you go to South Korea and you go on a Korean website, and we in Australia are buying these torpedoes from Eurotorp in a conjunction with other companies like Thales. Then all of a sudden we do a search, we find out that Eurotorp is actually doing the same torpedo with Korea, but when you look at the cost of the Korean torpedo, it's $200,000 cheaper per torpedo than it is for the ones we're actually getting from France, from Eurotorp itself. So, whilst we go on a war with these guys, I mean, the Prime Minister, the one in charge, he doesn't look very big, doesn't look very tall, but he certainly has might have a mouse here. He certainly seems to have a big might. I mean, it's like when we used to watch Bugs Bunny. And they always had the Chinese, or whenever we talk about Chinamen, they've always been short and stocky. You never see too many tall Chinamen. Are they trying to show that their might that they haven't had in the past? Is there something in the past that we haven't seen them do? I mean, we have all these technologies around the world to spy on them, to know what they're going to be doing next. So why can't we preempt it? There must be some resources somewhere in the world that they need to be able to do this, that we can stop the resource happening. Might be a thought. But anyway, I love you guys. I hope you guys like the show. I'm still trying to get someone to take it on in Australia, and let's go to Australia. Let's take Australia to the US. I know YouTube's taking this to the US. Well, let's take it live to the US. I want to do this show from the US back to Australia with Australian stars and guests who are in the US to come on to the show. All right, we'll catch you again tomorrow. Oh, and tomorrow we'll be down to our last song tomorrow. So we'll be on to our next new album after this. Tomorrow will be album Stardust. My Kukatu. My Kukatu. My Kukatu. Alright. Catch us again tomorrow. Love us all. Bye.